What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So hopefully you had a good weekend. Overall, had some fun here. Did the podcast, of course. Took a look inside the Switch Lite with some of the FCC documents that are now made public. And then we actually took a look at a Game Boy Advance SP and why I think it's one of the most important Nintendo revisions that they've ever done. And since we're talking about things like the Switch Lite and I guess the newish Switch, it seemed interesting to do. Today, though, we have to go over some things, including a massive leak out of E3. And it's not for a game, it's for, well, all of the media and press that attended. And it's their personal information. So there was some serious stuff going on over the weekend as that story continued to develop. And then we did see that new Switch kind of make its way out into the wild, and we've had some tests and some impressions on it, all of which we're going to go over here today. As always, guys, doing these videos, make sure to like button. It does help out, and get subscribed so you can keep up to date on all the gaming news that just seems to go on constantly around here. We're actually going to start today with Dragon Quest XI S, which is a game that I'm looking forward to after playing it on the PlayStation 4, at least just the regular Dragon Quest XI. Which is a game I really liked. Coming over to the Switch with all of these new features is great, and it sounds like we're gonna get a demo. Now, this was going on during like the Dragon Quest Festival 2019, where they announced that there would be a demo of some kind coming soon, and it has to be soon because the game's launching at the end of September, and we're currently, in August, so it's less than 2 months away, and I assume that means that we could be hearing about it in a few weeks, and it sounds like they'll have some stuff that transfers over, including a skill seed, and I recommend everyone check this game out. I don't think it did as well on the PS4, mostly because it came out right when Spider-Man came out. So it kind of got buried a bit. A lot of stores didn't carry a lot of stock. I think this fits in perfectly on the Switch, and I love that they have that 16-bit mode, which, since I've already played through it once on the PS4, I'm going to play through it again, but mostly in that 16-bit mode, maybe occasionally, checking it out on the regular mode, just see how visually it looks and everything, but I'm excited to go back through it. Tons of extra stuff's been added, so make sure you check that out. We also had EVO going on over the weekend, and there were a lot of announcements. We had things like Janemba showing up in Dragon Ball FighterZ. We had a new season for Tekken 7 Season 3 with a couple of characters shown, and then we also had this weird tease with a codec sound going off and Snake showing up on screen for like 10 seconds. It was all over the place, but we also got an announcement for a new King of Fighters. So if you're a big King of Fighters fan, you're probably excited to see this because people have been unsure as to that, I guess that franchise's future at times, but King of Fighters 15 is in development currently. No actual information outside of that. This whole EVO was pretty much presented by PlayStation, so that logo would always show up. Doesn't necessarily mean that's the only system it's going to. I could see it easily, I think, probably going to the Xbox and PC, and the Switch, of course, we'll have to see. But again, if you're a fan, you're probably breathing a sigh of relief and very, very excited to see what we get out of this, but we didn't really see any screenshots or gameplay or anything currently anyway, but we'll see when they're ready to show it to us what it looks like. We're also supposed to see more information about WWE 2K20 sometime today from what we heard before, but there was a commercial that aired called Step Inside that showed, well, a bunch of different wrestlers in a house that seemed to be showing throwing a house party, but we did get some glimpses of gameplay or visuals or something, I guess. Here's the thing, from what they showed us, it looks exactly the same as last year. Like, it doesn't seem like a big change. Now, of course, we haven't played it or seen any gameplay impressions or anything. We're going off of a commercial, but you feel like you showed the best you could possibly show of the game in that commercial, and they didn't really do that. They also didn't show any systems or anything. They flashed the data, I believe, at the end of October 22nd. So that's coming up pretty quick. It's feeling more and more like previous entries where they don't really have a lot of time to show it off leading up to release, and I assume at that point fans of just WWE in general buy into it. But I think fans are getting a little tired of this, and after hearing some interesting little hints at possibly something like Here Comes the Pain getting a remaster, people seemed a lot more interested in that, actually, than they do in the current franchise of the 2K series. But hey, we'll at least see, hopefully later today, for WWE fans, what they have in store for everyone this year. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start right away with the Entertainment Software Association. That's the company that runs E3. Big organization that all of these different companies like Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony are all a part of. It's kind of a group, and Within that group, they have things like E3 going on and it's attached to them, so you think that they would do a pretty good job with security around E3. Well, it seems like at least at E3, security was pretty good, as people would always talk about how they're checking badges and IDs and everything constantly to get in anywhere, which is why this story is such a head scratcher. So on Friday, it started to make the rounds that there was a massive Excel sheet, a big sheet of information that contained everyone in the media or press that registered with E3, all of their personal information. We're talking addresses, phone numbers, full names, the whole thing. And this started to spread like wildfire online on Friday going into Saturday, to the point where it was being posted on different forums and stuff, and a lot of them were being pulled down. And at this time, the ESA has actually deleted that link. This was directly on their website, though. You could go on the website and this was all there. You could download it, and at that point, you have a lot of information. And of course, you don't want your information floating around out there. It's not good. And there were some large public figures on there, and that is very, very bad. So here we are now with a situation where everyone in the media who seem to have registered, whether it's people from a big organization too, IGN, think of any of the bigger sites, they were on that list most likely if they went. So not good. You figured the ESA would respond well. They responded poorly. Go figure. Actually, this is what they did finally say to everyone after, I'd say, about 24 hours. The Entertainment Software Association, the ESA, was made aware yesterday of a website vulnerability on the exhibitor portal section of the E3 website. Unfortunately, a vulnerability was exploited and that list became public. We regret this happened and are sorry. We provide ESA members and exhibitors a media list on a password-protected exhibitor site so they can invite you to E3 press events, connect with you for interviews, and let you know what they are showcasing. For more than 20 years, this has never been an issue. When we found out, we took the E3 exhibitor portal and ensured the media list was no longer available on the E3 website. Again, we apologize for the inconvenience and have already taken steps to ensure this will not happen again. So first of all, it really wasn't an exploit because it was just on your website. Like, it's not like somebody hacked their way in or something through a back door that they left when they infiltrated Ocean's 11 style or something when no one was looking at E3. No, they found it on your website. It was just there and people downloaded it, backed it up, and that's what happened. And that's not a great response. So much so that people are now thinking about legal action. Yeah, I mean, that's some pretty damaging information that can get out there around some of these larger public figures. So on Twitter, we have a couple different people like Haydox who put out that they were getting people together specifically to pursue a class action lawsuit. Alongside Haydox, we also have Alana Pierce, both of which, as they've pretty much said at this point on their own Twitter handles and feeds, that they were on that list. Obviously, otherwise they probably wouldn't be pursuing a class action lawsuit. I wasn't really going to mention anyone who was on the list, but that they've made it pretty public, again, on their Twitter handles that they were on that list. So now we're to a point where can the ESA, at this point, fight a lawsuit over this, a class action suit of, if everyone came together, over 2,000 people, and then we're also talking about large organizations. The answer to that, at least anyone from Europe, is probably no. See, in Europe, there's a general data protection regulation that does protect people and their private information, and that can carry large fines in the tens of millions of dollars, depending on damages and I guess just the scope of the problem and what's happened. And this is pretty big, so I do wonder what will happen. Class action lawsuits tend to take, well, forever to develop and take place. So this could be something that goes on for a while, or there could be some kind of settlement. It's hard to say, to be honest, but there is a problem here, obviously, and the ESA, E3 are going to pay for this in more ways than one. Sure, we're talking about a lawsuit, but also consider the fact that E3 has been struggling. It hasn't been great for E3 at this time. I mean, Sony didn't even show up, right, this past year. Already companies are seeing this as a less important place to go, and now you've just made everyone on your media list really annoyed with you. So I do wonder if several people on the list just won't go next year, right? A lot of media that would generally cover E3 from point blank range there just wouldn't be there anymore. I mean, it's hard to say if there would be full-on boycotts of it. I doubt it because, of course, a lot of people want to cover these things and meet with developers and see like backroom gameplay and everything, right? Like Cyberpunk, you want to go see that, all that happening. So I don't know if it would get to that point, but this is going to hurt E3 and ESA badly when it comes to their big convention, especially the trust with the media and E3. It's something that is, I think, going to accelerate E3's decline if it already has been accelerating as it is. And also, all of this took place over a weekend. Monday, today, you may see the ESA put out another statement, as they've probably had times, I assume, to meet with their lawyers and craft some kind of, hopefully, I guess something they can do for everyone on that list. I'm not sure what they can, because once you put that info out there, you're not getting it back. Next up, let's talk about that new Switch that released. I saw Dreamcast Guy and Beat 'em Ups both did videos on it. Very well done, very interesting stuff. I'm looking to hopefully pick mine up today. Most of the GameStops, Best Buys, Targets, Walmarts, none of them had it on Saturday or even Sunday, and hopefully today is the day where I can go pick it up and we can open it up. Probably do two videos, one for the Switch itself, the unit, and then the other one for the Joy-Con controllers that come with it, as Max or Dreamcast Guy was saying that they felt different. They felt more sturdy, so I'm interested to see if they have changed the model up at all inside, and we'll compare it, of course, to a current Joy-Con. But other people also had a chance to check it out, specifically that battery life. And I noticed one video, a little bit of what you're seeing here. This one was from Mimi Game Channel, and they actually played it on camera, sped up, of course, with footage, and they showed how long they were able to play Breath of the Wild continuously, and it was just over 5.5 hours. 5 hours, I think 36 minutes to be exact, and that is awesome. That is great. That is a large jump from roughly 2.5 to 3 hours as I've seen before, and I'm excited to get this Switch. I think having that battery life on the Switch is amazing. That was one of the biggest critiques a lot of people had, was that the battery life at times be very disappointing. This seems to solve that, so good to see it's at least standing up to it. No word from anyone about measured performance gains or anything like that. I'm going into this just expecting battery life, but if there is any performance gains or anything, that's great too. Next up, let's talk a little bit about Capcom. As they put out their quarterly financial earnings and everything, looked pretty good, seemed like they did fairly well, they made money. But what really stuck out to investors, and they even pressed them on this a little bit, is there was this really weird transaction of about $19 million they put in their digital contents category. And when they were asked about it, they simply said they couldn't mention it fully as it's currently confidential with whoever they made this transaction with. It seems to be with just another partner that they sold something to, which appears to be something that has to do with royalties over rights, which makes people wonder if they sold an IP. I don't think they sold one of their intellectual properties, one of their older ones or something. And then the other thought is, did they sign some kind of exclusivity deal, whether it's Microsoft with xCloud or Google with Stadia for streaming, or was there some kind of signing off for Game Pass games coming up or something? A lot of questions. If I want to lean to one side and say, oh, they signed some kind of deal with another company so that they can make a game around one of their older IPs, I would cross my fingers and hope that it's Beautiful Joe, and then I would come to the realization that it's probably something very standard and basic, and it's like a group of games going to Game Pass, or it is something with Stadia and they are signing off with an exclusivity deal for Google rather than something like xCloud. I feel like they would probably lean closer to xCloud, and maybe that's where that is, but it sounds like they couldn't announce it now, so maybe it's a really cool game reveal, or maybe it is an interesting exclusivity deal with a service. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just know Capcom shifted some money around, got a big check from somebody for something. And our last bit of news, let's talk about Neo Geo. SNK, yeah, they did the Neo Geo Mini, right? We did the arcade. It was a little arcade cabinet thing. It was very small, had a little screen. Wasn't the best piece of hardware, but it was interesting to see SNK release something new in the hardware scene. And it sounds like they're not done yet, and I couldn't believe this. I thought they were just gonna kind of step back and spend some time off. It seems like everyone wants these plug-and-play systems now, and looks like SNK is going to keep doubling down on that after they tweeted out that they were going to continue working on a new system that is set to come out. A next-gen Neo Geo hardware is coming after Neo Geo Mini with a modern design and a wonderful play feeling, and you can even link it to the Neo Geo Mini. The new hardware will provide you a Neo Geo journey that you have never experienced. Stay tuned for more information. I have no idea what this is for. If I would like to take a guess, I would say maybe they're going to do their own plug and play for like the Neo Geo AES or something, right? We don't need it to be a little arcade cabinet. We really don't. we have TVs we'd rather plug it into, and that thing was awkward as anything to plug it in anywhere. Just scrap that little box, just like how we just saw the TurboGrafx Mini. Do that, just Neo Geo. That'd be amazing. Maybe even package the controllers you've already made. Maybe come out with a fight stick that you can get with it. There's a lot of possibilities here, SNK. Just don't get weird about it. Just a box, 20 games that are Neo Geo, AES games. You throw Windjammers on there, Samurai Showdown, and we're already rolling here, see? So do something like that, but I don't know why it needs to link to the Mini. I have no idea what that's about, and that actually concerns me a little bit, but I guess we'll find out soon what this is all about with another Neo Geo. We're to the point now we're getting a Neo Geo system, we're getting a TurboGrafx system, the Sega Genesis Mini is already looking amazing. It feels like the 90s again. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This one's from Ricken Goreco. Wii U ports like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Hyrule Warriors, and Bayonetta are cool picks for the online service feature. Yes, those would be great ideas, I think, because a lot of people, any of the Wii U ports are already controversial because Nintendo puts them at like $60. If they just went and grabbed a Wii U or a Wii game, did a little bit of a remastering, and just threw it on the online, like the online service, just straight up, they're like, here you go, you can... Here's the original Pikmin. We're just gonna drop it on here. Because remember, they moved that to the Wii as well. Things like that, little things like that, I think would be enough to get people at least excited about announcements around the online service. I'm just anything but NES games at this point, unless you really are moving over like Mother, for example, or Earthbound Beginnings. That's like the last NES game I think people would actually get excited for. Otherwise, go get older Wii U ports, drop them on there, right? Go get some Wii games, do anything else. Seriously, at this point, Nintendo. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything talked about, whether it's ESA, E3, and this weird leak. Do you think the trust between the media and E3 is broken? And do you think they'll pay less and less attention to it because just the risk of having your personal data with E3 and the ESA, can they really be trusted at this point with their basic security level, which is nothing? And then also let me know what you think about this Neo Geo system and what it could be, or that new Switch, and if you're trading yours in to get this new one, or hey, I don't really play anything outside of docked play, so I'm not going to touch it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.